This carousel spins us round and round. I just can't tell what is up or down. Hello everyone, welcome. We're going to talk about Persona Q. So, as usual, we're going to pertain to physical stuff. So, if you got the Wild Card Edition, or if you got the special limited edition 3DS XL version, which comes with all this stuff, and a 3DS XL, which is an excellent way to probably start off with the 3DS if you haven't gotten one yet. But I didn't get that one because I already have a 3DS. But it is very nice. But it seems a little less meaningful to get it unless you don't have a 3DS with the new 3DS coming out soon. But anyway... But for collector's reasons, it is very awesome looking. So with the Wildcard Edition, you get a hard-covered case that features artwork of the cast and the logo on the front with its bright colorful. I have not opened mine. I did an unboxing where I opened technically someone else's, and that's a whole different story with GameStop fucking something up. Don't worry about that. But I guess that makes it where I don't have to open this one. But it's slightly hard, but it's not completely hard. It would protect it somewhat, but I wouldn't want to use it personally because these kind of cases, you know, they get smeared and damaged a lot in that when you use them, and I had no plans of really using this. Besides, the one I have is a really hard plastic case, and it does a very good job protecting it, and it even has slots for games, but the bad thing about it is, like I said, artwork gets smeared. It's a Pokemon one, and it already has a lot of smearing, so I wouldn't want to use that. Just because it looks really nice. You get a sample soundtrack. Again, Atlas has been a little disappointing with these because I don't know why they've been doing this really with a lot. Like it's nice to get a few tracks in that, but I mean, I prefer to actually have a soundtrack. I mean, it's kind of weird just getting 3 or 4 songs on a full CD. I mean, maybe if they were downloads, that'd make more sense, but well, I don't get why you would give a disc and just give 3, 4 songs. But it has nice artwork, so that's nice. And of course, the nice little thing out of the whole thing is a soft-covered art book that features a very interesting web design on it. The black is a very nice smooth, where the purple has a different texture on it, and it has different amounts of artwork in it, and showing off all the characters from Persona 3 and 4. Of course, you have the box, as you should have always saw, but just in case you didn't get a good look at. And of course, we have the game. Now, my game isn't in here right now. Right now, it is being destroyed by Angry Birds Sing inside. But you don't get any booklet. You just get a Nintendo Club Code thing and a warning thing. No reversible art or anything. And all the games, you don't get any particularly special cover art with the special versions. It's the exact same as standard. But you know, something I noticed, just a little touch. On the side, it has artwork. Looking at with all my 3DS games so far, I noticed a big standout from Atlas titles on the 3DS, having gorgeous art even on the side. But here is just a portion of 3DS titles from other people that just feature boring logos. So, to be honest, I'd say the only one that isn't related with Atlas that actually has some additional artwork on the side was the I'm trying to remember how to say his name. Dr. Lautrec. Yeah, I think it's Lautrec or Lautrec. Oh no, Dark Souls. But in the Forgotten Knights has some artwork on the side there, so that's a nice little touch. Not obviously a big deal or anything. But anyway, you'll hear the most likely hear what I think about the game, of course. So what do I think of Persona Q? Now, as I'm sure, at least for the standards... oh wait, I have it over here, of course. Now, anyone who isn't familiar with the Etna Odyssey, I'm really bad with titles today. If you're not familiar with this series, It's a first-person dungeon crawling that's very reminiscent of like wizardry titles, and that. And it's very popular amongst groups of people who are into those. It's a very nice, refreshing take on that kind of gameplay, while remaining really into the roots. And it has basically 4 titles in its series so far. And this is a spin-off that has the first game with a complete story that takes place during that time period. So I guess you got 4 games and a spin-off, and it has a remake of the second game with another spin-off story with that. So it's already a pretty nicely established franchise. So what it is Persona Q is the objects and many of the themes in that. So, of course, if you're into the Persona or Shin Tensei series, you should know that first person isn't a stranger in the series. I mean, a good chunk of the Shin Tensei series has taken place in first person view, with more titles since around the PS2 era starting to use 3D perspective more. Third person's perspective, looking at the characters, versus first person perspective in dungeon crawling and that. Though, of course, many of the handhelds still retain some of the dungeon crawling aspects. It is not very similar to those, though. I mean, that might be your first thought coming into Persona Q is, oh, well, it's just, Persona kind of going back to the first-person dungeon crawling thing. No, not at all. Well, that's about as close you're going to get. Is very similar. I mean, seriously, it's almost kind of like a reskinning, but at the same time, it's not lazy reskinning. It's not lazy. There is a very interesting merger of gameplay mechanics from both, like obviously the dungeon crawling, map making, the foe system appears in the game, finding certain little special events in that throughout dungeons, shortcuts and such. Many of these things are in Persona Q. While at the same time, Persona drags many of its elements in the weakness system and all-out attacks. Now, you can have up to 5 party members, just like in the Odyssey series. So, it's increasing the party size also. And you have Persona 4 and Persona 3 cast meeting together and teaming up, and you can mix and match. Now, when you start the game, you only can pick half the cast. You pick a main character, which would be either you from Persona 4 or the nameless hero of Persona 3, or depending if you want to use his manga title or his movie title or whichever way. But you pick one of them, you start as their group, their day, and the events of the game take place, which basically involve their festival, basically kind of going wrong. Basically, they get dragged into some other dimension where the school festival has changed, and certain festives have became dungeons full of shadows. So things go quite wrong as they're trapped in this odd school festivals that at first seems kind of like those, but it radically appears that something has gone wrong. Now, at the beginning of the game, you'll spend the first dungeon with the party that you've chosen to start the game with. After the first dungeon, technically at the end of the first dungeon, you'll meet the other half of the cast, and the story really starts kicking off from there. Now, that is as far as I'd gone for this first question. I wanted to meet the other half of the cast. I thought it'd be a lot sooner, but it turned out to be a lot later. Now, there are a lot of changes to the Persona elements that have been brought into the game. Now, for example, weaknesses. Unlike the Persona 3 and 4, where weaknesses basically, guaranteed knockdown, you get extra turn, that is completely different. Now, the weakness obviously does more damage, but a knockdown is not guaranteed. On top of that, you do not get another turn. Instead, the game uses the boost system, but it's completely different from the Odyssey series. In the Odyssey series, the boost system was a bar that built up based on when you got hit or you attacked, and then you could use it and it would buff whatever your next action, whether it was damage, healing, or such. Instead, what the boost system is, boost is triggered when you hit weakness and or achieve a knockdown /critical. So you don't necessarily always have to hit weakness either. But getting a boost gives you a free cast of anything. Any of your moves, even if it, like, say you used lightning and that was the weakness, and your next turn you can use any move. It doesn't even have to be lightning. It can be something that absorbs your HP instead of your SP. It's 100% free. This is a very interesting mechanic, especially I could see it being really interesting as game progresses, because you could use like a really cheap spell, and then like the next turn have the character use like one of the ultimate heal spells that cost like shitloads of SP, and just like I could see all kinds of interesting ideas of how to progress different boss fights. I'm really interested to get meted down in a lot of mini bosses and foes and stuff, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff you can do once a lot more moves and that come in. Now, all-out attacks, I'm not 100% sure if all-out attacks are being triggered by knockouts, but from what it looks like, when the enemy is knocked down, the character who did it will sometimes request if y'all want to do an all-out attack, and I'm not sure if that's exactly what's triggering it, but that's what it seems to be. The all-out attack does not guarantee any death at all. An all-out attack in the previous game did not guarantee death either. However, there was an interesting visual that would tell you if everything died. And I've seen that visual every single time they do it. And I've only had one time where all-out attack killed everything. So that visual is not usable. And that visual is when you see a death skull in the cloud of smoke from the all-out attack. In Persona 4, when that happened, that meant that they had killed all the enemies. So, but it does do radical amounts of damage, and it does not consume your turn. So, for the most case, like in Persona 4, there was very few rare situations where you would not want to take advantage of it. So, you would most likely, of course, want to take the all-out attack for more additional damage against everything on the field. Now, of course, like the Odyssey series, those the front and back rows, which is not familiar in the Persona series, really. Or at least the more modern entries of it. So, obviously, you want to put, like, fragile characters, healers, and range characters in the back, and have people that are more buff, HP, defense, and such, and obviously the melee-type characters in the front row. And there was some interesting new moves in that. Carrying over the system from Odyssey, where you can bind body parts, because status effects, while exist in Odyssey, binding was one of the primary ways of disabling either you or your enemy. You could lock down certain skills, and the binding system with turns to lock down certain skills. But there's also interesting, like Zan, the new character in the game. He has an ability that can shoot an ice spear through the front row and goes into the back row. And you can cause different targets, like you could do this front row and this back row, or this back row and that. So it has a very interesting mechanic. I have not seen any other abilities like that. Now the new character duo, Zan and I'm gonna cheat here because I hadn't used them too much. I need to get new character. I think it was Wayne. Wayne, I believe. Wayne. I think. Yeah, Wayne. Zan and Wayne are the two new characters. Now, what's interesting is they don't use a persona. They'll kind of like each other's own human persona relationship. Wayne seems to learn a lot of healing and passive abilities, while Zan learns a lot of fighting abilities. So, primarily, I would say probably she's meant to be a persona kind of role in it, but... And this is actually important because leading into the Persona's system is completely different. The fusion and all that stuff works the same. However, there is no changing out the main character's persona like you did in 3 and 4, meaning you could change your weaknesses and strengths. The original persona is those strengths and weaknesses permanently. Now, you cannot change out your personas like in 3 and 4, the main characters. Everyone basically the story seems to basically use a MacGuffin trick that the wild card has basically spreaded to everyone. So instead of the main character hogging all the ability to himself, it's dealt out to everyone. So everyone can have a backup persona they can learn abilities and summon. And they do not take that persona's weaknesses or strengths. So all other persona have none. It's always based off their original persona. So the main killer's personas, like in the original games, unless you fuse the super hyper mega overpowered version by the end of the game, if you ever leveled up the main killer's original personas, they don't have a lot of skills and stuff. Now, obviously, they have shitloads more skills because they're stuck with them for the rest of the freaking game. Now, of course, being a first person, everyone's everyone's personas are their original persona versions. They're not the upgraded, super mega ones, and that's been confusing between the Arena sequels and such, and the animes and that. So there's been a lot of confusion on whether the Persona Forecast personas ever really evolve or that. So if you're really part of that debate, that gets more confusing, obviously, because that's not the case. They have their original personas unevolved. So I haven't gotten to use the Persona 3 cast because I literally just met them, and it took a long time to actually get to them. It takes a little bit, so it's not a park in the walk just to meet the other cast of that. So I have more experience with the Persona 3 cast so far. Now, as far as I understand, the story is not vastly different. Depending on who you pick, there are like more line changes and slight alterations to interactions. But in the overall picture, you get all the party characters. The only person that's locked in place is the leader character you chosen, and all the Velvet Room characters and that, aside from Igor, appear to help you in the festival by offering usual mechanics of healing, buying items, and such. Which is something they normally didn't do. They just helped with fusing and that. But they act as all the store characters and that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Odyssey series, since the very first entry in it, encouraged you to find random items from monsters, scavenge items from the dungeon, and sell them to the store, or to learn new items or equipment and that. Now, in the Odyssey series, you had separate stores, the hospital and the shop and that. Everything is just one room in this, so you just dump everything to them and they'll make whatever they can make with them. So sometimes you might need a special something here or there to make something. Luckily, as far as I've seen, as long as you've collected like something brand new, it'll show you what you need to make new items with missing parts that you don't have or that. Not 100% sure that's what it's doing. It could also be a progressive thing, like if you get to a new floor or something. I'd have to get a lot farther in the game to see how it does that. Or maybe it's just really generous and at the beginning of the game it shows a few before it just leaves you clueless. Not 100% sure yet. Again, first impressions. But overall, the game... At first I thought the game was going to be very more easier than the Odyssey games. Mainly, I've only played Odyssey 1 and 2 a lot. I've only beaten 1, and I've played a bit here or there or 2, and been thinking about doing a Let's Play of it, maybe sometime after Classic Heroes ever gets finished. But I hadn't played any of 3, and I haven't played 4, and I've played some... I haven't played 4, and I've only played some of the remake of 1 with its storyline that it has with the princes. And I only know of a little, I think my understanding 4 started a lot of the new stuff with the map making and the auto running and such that you can do. And those are carried on in the Persona Q where you can auto run, which is very useful for grinding and that, so you could watch YouTube videos and just listen to the sound effects and that. But The game gets pretty hard, to be honest. So far, it's put up a pretty good challenge. Kanji and you have died a lot of times for me. He died, especially on the third floor. Lots and lots of death all around. Death everywhere. Death. Nothing but death, Woody. Nothing but death. So the game so far has been pretty decent challenging. Now, obviously, I haven't, like, overgrinded level a lot. You know, like a normal RPG, I would assume, you know, you grind a whole lot, you're going to make it a lot easier, but I'm enjoying it so far. Now, the art style, I've heard a lot of differing opinions on the art style. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed if you know nothing about the game, which I would find very surprising if you came to this video knowing nothing, but of course, and again, that would be the point of coming to the video, but I digress. You would notice the art style is very chibi-ish, which isn't the art style that the Persona games use, or really any of the Shin Tensei games use at all. I don't think any of them ever used a chibi art style, really. So it's a very different art style, and I know a lot of people have been very iffy about that. And admittedly, I have been very iffy about that too. But playing the game, and it kind of just all works to me. I don't know. There's something really charming. It kind of just works. Usually, I'm not really into taking a different art style and then chibicizing it. Usually that seems weird to me, but for some reason it just feels alright here. But that's a personal taste thing. That's going to vary from person to person. So far I am liking the music in the game. I don't know how much is in the game itself so far, but I'm liking it. And it seems that I'm not 100% sure, but I think depending on your main character, the normal battle theme is slightly different, saying mood, where like the Persona 4 version's a lot more bright and uppity, where the Persona 3 version's a little more dark and downer. And I think that's to reflect the moods of their individual titles, I think. And that actually kind of works. That fits a lot with that. That's actually really nice. But overall, would I recommend getting Persona Q? I think it is a delightful game. I recommend checking it out. Obviously, you know, if you want one of the special versions, you know, that's up to you to pay, if you want to pay out that much more. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I really wish I could do a Let's Play of this game, but sadly the 3DS has no way of outputting, so I would have to do it like I did for like a good 20-30% of Dragon Ball Z Attack the Saiyans, which does not look very good, and that's really a shame because I'm really enjoying this, but I don't want to like fully play through it either, because I would really love to do a Let's Play. But right now, getting a capture card is really difficult. One of the cheaper people that used to do it is kind of not doing it anymore. He's working on newer models since he was originally doing the older model, and he just basically stopped selling those because he can't get it anymore. So I'm really in this tough spot on whether I want to stop and hope one day I can do a Let's Play of it in the future, do a camera, or just play it, enjoy it, and get on with my life. Because obviously, you know, you can't record everything, and I think that's what I'm going to do most likely, is just enjoy it, you know. I can't share everything with everyone, in humanity. But I am enjoying it. Now, there are some criticisms I have with it, and these aren't big, crucial things so far. One thing is, this has nothing to do with the game. It has actually to do with the Miiverse. If you ever use the Miiverse, you can post screenshots of what's currently on your top or bottom screen. For some reason, you can't do this in Persona Q. And to my understanding, it's only people in America and Europe that can't do this. Apparently in Japan, they're free to do this. Why? That makes no fucking sense. I don't even know why. It's like, is Atlas trying to censor spoilers? Because I know Atlas likes doing that. At the beginning, like, I remember when Catherine came out, they said, nobody better spoil this online or that. So, I don't know if it's Atlas, Nintendo, I don't know. Some people have said it's because it got rated M in America. I don't know. I'm not 100% why. I'm not 100% sure why. That's kind of sucky, though, in my opinion. But again, that's not really a mark to the game, but I wanted to throw it out there to let you know. But something in the game itself that affected me is the reason I even found out about that was, okay, Maria is also in this game. And Maria offers a service where you can street pass a persona, and you don't lose the persona, you keep it, but when you street pass with the persona you gave to your street pass profile, you give that persona to that person, and you keep your version of it. You don't lose anything, and you get whatever the hell their profile is. So, the street passing system is very nice. However, what's really annoying is it gives you a what do they call it, QR, where it's a barcode, a squared barcode, and you have an option to make that for your profile to give as a scannable thing. The reason that seems really stupid to me now is because you can't share it on the Miiverse. You would get a clear and nice picture of it if you could, but you can't. So how do I get a nice clear picture of this barcode for people to scan? It seems like a really counterproductive system. Because, I mean, that's exactly what I went to do. I went to go and post it on the Miiverse on my profile, the share, and you can't. So, that part is a little more annoying in that way. But, overall, I'm really enjoying it so far. There's supposed to be a little minor download content, like you could get different, you know how we say would, you know, narrate over combat and stuff, say, oh, that weak against this and stuff and shit. You can get some DLC for like Elizabeth, Nanako and that. I don't know how much they cost. I haven't even looked at the shop on it. And I believe in the art book itself, it listed some DLC personas. Let's see if I can find that page. Yeah, DLC personas, which again, I don't know if they cost anything. I've heard that some of them, there are a few freebie things on there, and I haven't checked it out. But as long as you keep the story stuff from being DLC, I wouldn't say it's that bad. Don't keep critical story characters or story-related stuff as DLC. Not as horrible then. When you do that shit, like, what was it, Mass Effect 3, that held, like, a Soren character that was, like, part of the extinct race that had, like, an integral role in the storyline there, and everyone was like, what the fuck? But anyway. Whew. Either way, Persona Q, Shadow of Labyrinth, I'm really enjoying it. I recommend it, definitely, to go check it out. Obviously, again, this was a First Impressions. It will probably be a good while before I get a review. It always takes a while because, you know, RPGs are longer than everything else. And, you know, I always have, like, all this stuff. So, I think I'm just going to play through it. However, you know, feel free to leave a comment on whether you would want me to hold on or not. But I think I'm just going to go enjoy it myself. I mean, it'd probably take too long to get a capture card anyway. Anywho, those are my thoughts. If you got any questions or any of that, please leave a comment down below and I will get with you. And hopefully, have a good day. Until next time.